Hi there. Well, I'm here today to pay tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and what she meant to me. Um, I was a very young child when she was crowned queen. Actually, I was almost 4 years old in 1953. So it's a very, very precious memory for me. One I will always cherish because as a little girl running around the meadow in a rural area in Newfoundland, Canada, uh, which just recently became a province of Canada, actually, in the year I was born. However, it was a colony of Britain prior to that. However, in this community where I was born and lived until I was around 17 or 18 years old, it was my home, my first home, my formative home, right, where I was born, raised, and grew up. There was no electricity in this community. It was just one of those communities that was very, very late getting amenities like electricity. It wasn't the fact that we as a family didn't have it, the whole community didn't have it. So as a result, there were no televisions we had radios, we had no televisions. And of course we didn't have the special experience of watching Her Majesty the Queen on TV or anything like that. And we didn't have a lot of outside excitement or magic in our lives, except when somebody would visit that was away somewhere and had something to bring or show or whatever. And so as a child running around the meadow in my home, St. Joseph, St. Mary's Bay, there wasn't too much glamour, and like I said, magical things to really take us away from the rather happy. We were happy, but sometimes we were a little bit sensory deprived. So there wasn't a whole lot to take our attention away from that. So anyways, here's me in the meadow when I was around the age that I'm going to tell you about the little experience that I had. Running around the meadow at around 3 years old or almost 4 years old. So I was a happy child, that's for sure. So anyway, my aunt came home one weekend, and it was shortly after the crowning of Queen Elizabeth II in 1953, and she had this tin of candy or chocolates. I can't remember, it was just candy, different varieties of hard candy or what it was. If it was chocolate, I don't know, but she came home and she had these tins of candy for the children on the meadow, because there were at least 5 or 6 families living in the meadow, all around the meadow, cousins and friends and neighbors and cousins in this huge meadow that I grew up in. And sometimes people would come and they would bring special things. So this particular time, she brought a tin of candy for each child in the meadow. And I can remember running across the river. It was a little river between my home and grandmother's home, which is where my Aunt Regina was living at the time. She was working in St. John's, so she would come home on weekends, and she would bring home things sometimes. So she brought home this tin of candy, and I can remember running across the meadow. I was all so excited, and she was standing by the house, and she had these tins of candy, and the picture of the newly crowned queen was on the cover of the tin of candy, and that meant so much. I was so fascinated with this beautiful, beautiful young lady with her crown and all her regalia and everything, just so beautiful. And it was my first memory of Queen Elizabeth II, and I'll always remember that. And as well, my mother grew up I guess, yeah, well, she was a couple of years older than the Queen. She was born 1924. The Queen was born 1926, so they pretty well go up in a kind of a parallel age kind of thing. So she used to tell stories too about Princesses Elizabeth and Princess Margaret Rose and all that, and her memories of when she was a young girl and things she would see in magazines and so on. She was also fascinated with them when they were young princesses. So the whole royal family at that time, the Queen Mother and King George VI, and I heard lots of stories about all that. And they saw them when they came to St. John's, Newfoundland in 1939 when they visited Canada. So I heard all these stories, and it was so magical, and it's very, very special. She was an absolutely beautiful lady in every possible way, Queen Elizabeth II, and I'm just doing this to pay tribute to her. Actually, you know, she reminded me of my mother. My mother reminded me a lot of Queen Elizabeth II. Queen Elizabeth II reminded me a lot of my mother. It's amazing because as my mother got older, I could even see some of her mannerisms and everything. And as the Queen got older, my mother passed in 2014, sadly. And as the Queen got older, wow, you know, her certain postures, her mannerisms, her whole demeanor and everything, even her features, her facial features and her hair and everything. And I would look at her and I would get a little bit, you know, oh my God, she looks like Mom, you know, I'd say to myself, and or whoever was around, I'll say, she reminds me so much of Mom. As she got older, she did remind me a lot of my mother. And so I have a poem I'm going to read a little later on, which illustrates that experience that I had when I was a little girl and first saw the tin of candy. So I have a picture of my mother, and I actually think, without even trying to, my mother didn't try to look this way or that way, she was just being who she was. But to me, it's probably one of my favorite pictures of my mother. She actually looks very regal on this picture, to me anyway, and you know, I think it's at a family wedding, and I think she's a queen herself. She looks like a queen herself, and she didn't try either. It was just her natural way of dressing, and at a special event, and she had poise, and here's my father at a family wedding. So I just wanted to share that with you. So, talking about what the Queen meant to me in her, you know, a lot of people have spoken about the Queen's fashion. Well, I don't think the Queen deliberately set out to, you know, to do fashion trends. That's for sure. She wasn't a trendsetter. She's just a classy lady and knew how to dress and had instinct on how to dress. And in later years, of course, she used color in her clothes, you know, to make sure people could see her in the crowds. But I don't think she really, probably didn't really want to wear those really, really bright clothes. They served a purpose in a statesman way, you know. She wanted everybody to see her, and she didn't want to disappoint the people that were waiting to see her. So it was a kindness on her part to do that, to make sure she was visible. However, personally, I don't really like bright colors. I think, like I said, she did it for a reason. But she certainly had a natural poise. That's one of the things that she had. She had a natural poise, and poise is something that can't be taught. You know, you're born with it, or you don't have it at all. I mean, you can be taught it, I guess, in finishing school and all these things. But I think poise and class are two natural things that people are born with. It's instinctive. And for example, people talk about crossing their legs, and being taught not to cross their legs, or being taught to put their feet a certain way or something like that. I remember when I was even a child, I sat with my across one foot under the other, even when I was about 9, 10 years old, and I would sit down. And nobody ever told me to sit like that. I just did. I sat like it. And my mother the same way. She, conducted herself in that manner. She didn't sit down and just cross her legs right over and, like a very casual, way. It was just these little things that and she had a way of standing and everything and sitting and well-mannered and all that. That, like I said, I don't remember being told, oh, don't, make sure you sit with your one foot tucked under the other and don't cross your legs. But these are things that I just, did. I sat with my foot tucked under the other, my ankle tucked inside the other. And I didn't cross my legs. I can remember all that. But I wasn't told not to. It was just something that I did. So I think poise is an instinctive thing, and subtlety and all that. And Queen Elizabeth had all that in spades, and she had an understated elegance, I think she just had it. And of course, being a young girl of 1940s as well, that's her coming of age years, when she was a young teenager, carefree, and never, not thinking about becoming queen, because at that time her father was the king, and she was just a normal young girl, enjoying life, but I think the war years brought on. I still am enamored of the fashions of the war years. They're my favorite when it comes to clothing and fashion. The war years remain my favorite era for clothes, and I think it underscores a lot of how the Queen dressed in later years. The tailoring of the clothes and so on. I think that was a big factor with her. The elegance and the cut of the clothes, and less is more, for allure. Less is more for allure. And I've always believed that too. And, accentuate the positive and don't overdo it. So, like I was saying regarding the color of her clothes in later years, when she was out in public with her really bright colors, I preferred when she would wear her forest greens and her houndstooth and her burgundies and a certain fabric she would wear, because, like I said, I still like the clothes of the 40s. I still like the patterns of the 40s, and I think that even today in this millennium, it seems to be like people don't know what to be doing when it comes to clothes. They don't know what to be wearing. And the trends of all these decades past are coming back, and they're mixing them all up because they don't have a standard to go by. They're just confused. But I stick with what I like about that decade, and it's just the way I like fashion. So, yeah, that's pretty well. She had, like I said, she had a grace and a poise and a subtlety, and she was somebody to follow for sure. With all the Queen Elizabeth was not a celebrity. She was a world-loved sovereign, but she didn't act like a celebrity. She's been compared to celebrities, but she wasn't a celebrity. But of all the people that were world-renowned and so on, and world-known, she takes one of the top places in my books for a lot of reasons. First of all, of course, it's the memories I have, those little memories I have when I was a child, and of course she was part of my life since I was 4 years old. So, like so many millions around the world, there's people crying and everything, because she was like, wow, this lady is in my life since I was a very, very young child. So they got these feelings for her, and they don't know why they're bubbling up and crying and so on, but it's like your favorite grandmother, your favorite mother, your favorite aunt, or whoever. She was just in our lives. I mean, she was a constant in our lives. So at this point I'm going to read the poem. This poem was written last year, actually. No, I haven't got done here. It was written last year as part of my new collection coming out this year called Greenwood Fires. But I'm going to read it anyway. You know, even though it's not published yet, it will be. It's coming up in a book, in a collection of poetry. But I'm going to read it anyway. Like I said, it was written last year, so a couple of the lines in it refer to the happenings in the world about a year ago, or a year and a half ago, whatever. However, I'm going to leave it as it is, and it's called Young Queens. I don't often think of age, and I know the monarchy is a touchy subject to many. But last month, the Queen's consort died at 100. Well, almost. And they have her funeral planned, ready to go for decades now. But I can see myself running with all my might across the river to my grandmother's when my young aunt came home on a weekend from her towny job, standing by the green porch door, the chickens scrabbling and squawking over the yard, expecting more than the usual handout. The sun sparking highlights in her chestnut hair and framing her like a calendar girl in her vivid blue costume. They were called costumes then, not ensembles or sets or suits. Holding tins of candy for each child on the meadow, the breathtaking young crowned queen on the cover, going down in breathless wonder along with the chocolate. My life, be it long or short, end of an era. That's called Young Queens, which will be in my forthcoming collection of this year's poetry. And I was going also to touch a little on skincare. I've been asked a number of times, actually, when people know my age, they say, "Oh my goodness, you don't look that age," or what do you do? So I don't really do anything, to tell you the truth. Skincare is a big thing these days, and ageism and all that goes with it is something else. You're only as old as you feel, and age is just a number. That's my motto. And as long as you've got an interest in life and you have something to get you up in the morning and give you a passion, well, you'll live to be over 100. So that's my feelings on it. I don't obsess over my skin. The most important thing to look good is to feel good, and that comes from within. So, like I said, first you have to have a passion for something to keep you motivated every day, and something different to do, something to look forward to every day. Instead of getting up and saying, "God, what am I going to do today?" Sure, every now and again you're going to get that, even with your hobby or whatever it is you're doing. You're going to get those days when what am I going to do today? Kind of. But the main thing is, I think people that develop something interesting as they get older and something to focus on, do better with aging, and they find it more motivating and interesting and energetic. It gives them energy as well. So as regarding your skincare, if you do all that and you also avoid certain foods, for example, salt and sugar and fat, all these foods contribute to skin problems. I'm sure that's a given. I mean, most people do know that, your diet is a big factor in just the look of your skin, for sure. What's inside is going to reflect outside. So I'm not going to get really into too much about it, because I pretty well, it's a simple thing. I don't... I eat things in moderation. I don't overdo it, and I try not to eat sugar and fat, though, and salt. I try not to eat those three culprits. And I drink a lot of water. That's, every day I'm sipping on water every day, all day long. So water is a hydrant. You have to hydrate your skin, and it's a big factor as well. Keep the moisture in your skin. And as for cosmetics, to each his own. But I don't believe in cosmetic surgery or cosmetic procedures. Like I said, that's me. That's not everybody. Everybody's different. Everybody, to each his own. Everybody do what they want to do. But I know inside of me that I would never, no matter what, resort to, or I shouldn't say resort to, but I would never adopt it as a habit or something I want to do. So I just make sure my skin is clean. And when I was very young, my mother, she had beautiful skin, and she used to use an eczema cream, and she didn't wear any makeup, even though she actually was a cosmetics sales lady for a while, where she sold Second Debut Cosmetics and Studio Girl and Avon, which, this is going back a long time ago now, probably back in the 60s. But I can remember when she was doing that, she used to tell me, I was, I was in puberty. I was in what then, 13, 14, I don't know. So she said, don't use soap on your face. And from that time on, I was only about 14, I used cleansing cream. I've never used soap since I was a very young teenager. So it's all cleansing cream. Right now I'm using L'Oreal products. I find them good, and cleansing cream and moisturizers, and I even use Pond's cold cream for removing makeup. I use it for removing eye makeup, and I use it for removing makeup a lot. So I don't use a lot of makeup. There's something else too. I don't get up every day and just plow on layers of makeup. It doesn't take long for that to do its work on your skin, that's for sure, and I mean negatively. Unless you are cleansing your face, and I mean really cleansing your face thoroughly, and having, using exfoliation and all that, you're going to have a problem. You're going to age fast if you get up every morning and just throw on the makeup in layers like that. I know a lot of people do it, and I'm not criticizing. It's just something that I wouldn't do, that's all. I use makeup sparingly. I use it if I'm, like today for example, I'm wearing a bit of makeup today because I'm doing this video. But as an everyday thing, I don't wear foundation at all. I just moisturize my face. And I try to remember to moisturize it before I go to bed in the night. I don't always remember that, and even in the daytime I don't always remember it. If I'm going out, I might put on some olive oil cream with sun protection included in it, sun block included into the cream. I try to remember that before I go out, but that's it. I wash my face, and I put on some whatever. Sometimes it's olive oil with sunblock, other times it's another kind of cream, but I moisturize my face before I go out, and that's pretty well all I do. And as for makeup, sometimes I may put on a little eye makeup, maybe a little bit of eyeliner, and lipstick, and I'm good to go. That's it. Maybe a little bit of blush on sometimes, but I don't get up and just plow on the foundation and 3 or 4 layers of powder and so on and so forth. I'm very much aware of the mineral, the mercury in powder, and they say, oh well, it's not there anymore, but it's there. I bought, I think it was a bronzer at one point there last year. I was kind of tempted to try something, and I brought it home, and I was reading the ingredients, and sure enough, it had mercury in it. So, you got to be really careful, and I'm not against makeup. I think it's a very good enhancer when, for the right time and place and so on. And it makes you feel good to keep yourself looking nice and, sort of fix yourself up nice and so on, like for special occasions, things like that. Or especially if you feel like doing it and it makes you feel good. I'm not against it. But what I don't do, and what I, don't feel comfortable doing, because I don't think it's good for your skin, is getting up every day and just putting it on layer after layer. I don't believe in that. I don't really want to do it. So, and like I said, use soap on your face. So these are the things that I do or don't do. So that's my way of battling age and staying healthy and so on. We all know what exercise, how good exercise is for your health, and drinking water and eating the right food. And I'm not fanatic or anything like that. I mean, I certainly treat myself, and I like my belly. I like to eat. So, however, I do avoid it all as much as I can, like things like French fries and those sugar, covered, all these desserts, like the confectionaries that are just covered in sugar, and sugar is bad, and salt is bad, and fat is bad. So I avoid all that as much as possible. So these are just natural things that I believe in and that I follow, and the most important thing of all, to staying young, looking young, feeling young, being young, at every age, no matter what age you are, is your attitude to life. You have to have a good attitude, and it's your whole attitude about everything. Be positive and happy and cheerful, and laugh. Laughter is great, like laugh, smile, I always like a good laugh, and if you can't laugh at things, well, what's the point? Like, laughter really is the best medicine, that's for sure. So anyway, on this little memory of the Queen video or talk, I probably think that she had a lot of that in her as well. She had to, because otherwise she would not have endured as long as she did, or even survived. So, I think she did have a great sense of humor and a great sense of purpose, and she had a good attitude, and these are all the ways why I looked up to her and admired her, and I'm rather sad that she's gone, and I welcome King Charles III. And I certainly wish him well, and I certainly feel that he will do a good job, I think. So anyway, I hope you enjoy, and oh yes, I meant to say, my subscribe button, I don't even know if it works. So I see people on videos, on YouTube videos, and they go, oh, subscribe, hit this, subscribe. I always felt a little shy about saying that in the beginning of a video, but at this point I did download a subscribe button for it, but I don't even know if it even works. So if you wouldn't mind, if you would like to subscribe, please hit the button. So anyways, thanks so much for tuning in to me, and I hope you enjoyed my little poem and my tribute to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and my little memories of what she meant to me. And I thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.